Hi, welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. Thanks to our sponsor, Globe Turnout Gear. I'm Nick Martin, and today we're going to talk about some RIT-related emergencies and putting a face piece on a downed firefighter. Putting a face piece on a downed firefighter whose mask has come off either accidentally or intentionally is one of the most technically challenging skills, and obviously it'll be performed under some of the most arduous and challenging conditions, rescuing one of our own brother firefighters. So it's important that we have practice in the skill and that we have multiple options available to us. So in this scenario here, we've located our downed firefighter. I have my RIT SCBA with me, and we're going to go ahead and get in position and identify and solve the problem. So my first step is going to be to approach the firefighter from the shoulders here. I'm going to grab his shoulder and I'm going to bring him up into our rescue position, which is accomplished by bringing him into an exaggerated sitting position, coming up behind him. I can kind of use my knee to support him a little bit, and in this case, once I have him like that, I'm going to let him come back a little bit, and that's going to let his head kind of naturally flap around as I need to. One of the first things I want to assess in assessing an unconscious downed firefighter is, does he have a face piece on? Because if he doesn't have a face piece on, there's no way any other air is going to get to him, and obviously protecting his respiratory tract is our most important priority as we prepare to get him out. So by simply taking a gloved hand and touching his face, I can tell the difference between a mask on his face and raw face. I know that he doesn't have his mask on. Now, obviously his mask here is laying at his side. I don't know what happened to him. I have to assume that he made an intelligent decision to take that mask off, or that it had a malfunction. Either way, I can't count on this mask, so I'm not going to use it. If you were to encounter a downed firefighter and not have a RIT SCBA and you have no other option, putting his own mask back on him may be better than doing nothing. But in a scenario where you have a functional RIT SCBA that you know is working well, that's going to be what we want to go with. So I'm going to prepare him by kind of opening up his collar and getting a little bit of an area here so I can access the bottom of his chin. I have my RIT SCBA behind me. I'm going to turn that on and grab my RIT mask. With my mask in one hand, you can see this mask here was stored in one of our first options. All right, our first option is to place our mask on him using what many of us use to put our own face piece on, basically by having the netting stored over the front of the mask and pulling that back over. So a lot of guys want to come in and just go right to putting that on the firefighter's mask, but on his face. But we have to realize that he might have a poor respiratory effort, and he might not even have enough of a breath to take that initial pull to trip the positive pressure SCBA. So we need to get air flowing to the SCBA somehow. We don't just want to simply turn the purge valve on, because if I turn the purge valve on, that's not going to tell me anything about whether or not I have a seal on him. What I want to do is get the air flowing as if I had taken a breath. Now obviously I have my own SCBA mask on, so I can't take a breath. So with the Scott SCBAs, I have two options. Number one is I can take a gloved hand and just give this a little bit of a smack right where it says Scott. That'll get it flowing. Or a little bit more gentle method, I can just take my thumb and my forefinger and press there and get it flowing. But by getting that flowing, what that's going to allow me to do is know if I get a seal. So as I have my air flowing, I'm going to feel with one hand for his chin, come up underneath his chin, and roll the mask on his face. And we can hear there, by the stopping of the free rush of air, that I have a seal on his face, right? If I don't have a seal, I can adjust as necessary. Then with my other hand, I'm going to grab my netting and run it all the way down the back of his head, pushing all the way until it's at the bottom of his neck. All right, keeping my pressure on the front to maintain that seal. I come along one side, grab my bottom strap, hold it with my other hand, come around my other side, grab my bottom strap. Our bottom straps are going to give us about 80% of our seal. I got a little bit of a leak there, so now I can come along my top straps and snug those up as necessary. One thing you can do with your RIT PAX SCBA to make it a little more combat ready is to already have some large rings on these straps here so that they're more easy to find with a gloved hand. It's important to do this from this position because you're oriented as the downed firefighter is oriented. A lot of guys try to do this from the front of the firefighter, and then your left is his right, and vice versa, and it gets confusing. Here, I'm oriented as the downed firefighter is, and I can maintain good control of this guy and put him in whatever position I need to. So that's one option for putting a mask on. I'll let Curtis take his mask off here, and I'll show you another option. A lot of times, the initial pulling the netting over doesn't work. If you don't get that netting all the way down to the back of his neck, if it's still sitting at the top of his head, it's difficult to maintain a seal. So in some previous training, we've seen a lot of guys who they kind of don't know where to go after that. They don't really know how to recover from that, and a lot of them try to spend time putting the netting back over the front of the mask, kind of like I would try to be doing now. And you can imagine how well that actually works inside of a fire building when you have one of your downed brother firefighters right in front of you. So if that initial attempt failed in getting that netting over, and now I have my netting like this, another option I can do is to put my mask on with the netting over the back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my flow of air going again. I'm going to encircle my thumb and forefinger on the bottom there, let my firefighter's head rest in front of me, and I'm just going to come up his chest. And as I come up the chest, I run my fingers along the straps, around his back, to the bottom of his neck, grab my straps, snug, snug, and we're on. It's not pretty, it's not comfortable, but I now have a mask on him and I'm protecting his respiratory effort. I'll let Curtis take that off of him. The important thing that we do here is that we have multiple methods to control this firefighter's face piece and get it back on him in the event that he doesn't have it on him when we find him. If our exit is not immediately available to us, the first thing we have to accomplish as the RIT team is make sure that the downed firefighter has air on his face and protect his respiratory system. If we don't do that, his likelihood of recovery is very slim. So it's something we need to practice, something we need to practice in low visibility. It requires a lot of dexterity, and it requires that you have a couple methods available to you so that if plan A doesn't work, you roll right into plan B seamlessly. Thanks for watching Fire Engineering's Training Minutes, and thank you to our sponsor, Globe Turnout Gear. We'll see you next time.